Welcome back to Daily English Conversations for Elementary. I'm Sophia, and with me is Mason. Today, we're diving deep into a fundamental part of communication: asking questions. Have you ever noticed, Mason, how a well-placed question can really open up a conversation?
Absolutely, Sophia. Questions are like the engine of a conversation. They drive it forward, fuel it with new topics, and sometimes even shift it into unexpected directions. It's fascinating how something as simple as a question can be so powerful.
Exactly. Let's start with open-ended questions. These are fantastic because they encourage the other person to share more than just a yes or no answer. For instance, instead of asking, "Did you enjoy the movie?" you could ask, "What did you think of the movie?" This way, the person has the opportunity to express their thoughts and feelings more freely.
That's right. Open-ended questions often begin with words like what, how, why, or can you explain? They're designed to elicit detailed responses and can lead to a richer, more engaging conversation. For example, asking, "How do you spend your weekends?" invites someone to share stories about their activities, hobbies, or interests, which can be much more enlightening than a simple yes or no.
Exactly. And then there are closed-ended questions, which are more specific and usually answered with a short, definitive answer like yes or no. These can be useful when you need to confirm facts or get specific information. For example, "Are you coming to the meeting?" Or "Did you see the latest episode of the series?"
Yes, closed-ended questions are great for quick checks, or when you need to gather specific details. However, they can sometimes limit the flow of conversation because they don't encourage elaboration. So, while they're practical, it's good to balance them with open-ended questions to keep the conversation lively.
That's a good point. Another interesting type of question is the probing question. These are used to delve deeper into a subject. For instance, if someone mentions they had a challenging day, a probing question could be, "What made your day challenging?" It shows genuine interest and encourages the person to share more.
Probing questions are excellent for exploring a topic in depth. They're especially useful in interviews or discussions where you want to uncover more details or get to the heart of an issue. Words like describe, explain, or tell me more about often signal a probing question. For example, "Can you explain what led to your decision?" encourages someone to share their thought process and reasoning.
And let's not forget leading questions, which subtly prompt the respondent towards a particular answer. For example, "You enjoyed the concert, didn't you?" This kind of question can sometimes influence the response, so it's important to use them carefully, especially if you're trying to get an unbiased opinion.
Yes, leading questions can be tricky because they can guide the respondent toward a specific answer, which might not always reflect their true feelings. They're often used in situations where the asker wants to confirm something or steer the conversation in a particular direction. For example, "You think this is a good idea, right?" can put subtle pressure on the respondent to agree.
And then there are rhetorical questions, which are more about making a point rather than getting an answer. They often don't require a response and are used to emphasize a statement or to provoke thought. For instance, "Isn't it amazing how time flies?" It's more of a reflection than a question.
Right. Rhetorical questions are a stylistic device often used in writing and speeches to engage the audience or to emphasize a point. They can be quite powerful in drawing attention to an idea or feeling. For example, in a discussion about the importance of conservation, someone might ask, "Do we really want to leave this kind of world for future generations?"
Now, let's delve into the impact of asking questions on relationships and learning. Asking the right questions can strengthen relationships because it shows that you care about the other person's thoughts and feelings. For example, asking "How did you feel about the presentation?" shows that you're interested in their perspective and value their opinion.
That's a great point, Sophia. Questions can also be a powerful tool for learning. By asking questions, we can gain new insights, clarify doubts, and expand our knowledge. For instance, in a learning environment, a student might ask, "Can you explain how this formula works?" This not only helps the student understand better, but also encourages a deeper exploration of the topic.
Exactly. Questions are also key to self-awareness. Reflective questions like, what can I learn from this experience? Or how could I have handled that situation differently? Can lead to personal growth and self-improvement. They encourage us to think critically about our actions and decisions.
And don't forget that asking questions can be a way to show empathy and build connections. When you ask someone about their experiences or feelings, like, how did that make you feel? It shows that you care and are trying to understand their perspective. This can create a deeper bond and trust in relationships.
Yes, empathy-driven questions are so important in building strong, meaningful relationships. They show that you are truly listening and value what the other person has to say. This can make the other person feel more understood and supported.
And let's not overlook the importance of body language and tone when asking questions. A friendly tone and open body language, like maintaining eye contact or nodding, can make the person you're talking to feel more comfortable and willing to share. It's not just about the words we use, but also how we present them.
Definitely. For example, asking, "Are you okay?" with a concerned tone and a gentle expression can convey empathy and care. On the other hand, the same question asked with a neutral or uninterested tone might not have the same impact.
And sometimes, silence can be a powerful tool in conversations. Pausing after asking a question can give the other person time to think and respond more thoughtfully. It shows that you're giving them space to express themselves fully.
That's a great point. Silence can also signal that you are actively listening and processing what the other person is saying. It's a subtle but powerful way to show respect and attentiveness.
So, to sum up, asking questions is not just about gathering information, it's about engaging with others, learning, and building relationships. Whether it's open-ended, closed-ended, probing, leading, or rhetorical, each type of question serves a unique purpose in communication.
Absolutely. And we encourage our listeners to practice asking different types of questions in their daily conversations. It's a skill that can enrich your interactions and deepen your understanding of others and the world around you. Now, we're going deeper into different questioning techniques and their impact. This is particularly important for those learning English, as mastering these techniques can significantly improve your communication skills.
That's right, Sophia. Whether you're in an interview, a casual chat, or a more formal discussion, the way you ask questions can shape the entire conversation. Let's start with clarifying questions. These are essential when you want to ensure you've understood something correctly. For example, if someone says, "I had an issue with my project," you might ask, "Can you explain what specific issue you faced?" This shows you're paying attention and want to fully understand the details.
Exactly, Mason. Clarifying questions are great because they help prevent misunderstandings and ensure that everyone is on the same page. Another key technique is using reflective questions, which mirror what the other person has said. For instance, if someone says, "I've been feeling stressed about work," a reflective question would be, "It sounds like work has been quite stressful for you. Can you tell me more about what's been going on?" This technique not only shows empathy but also encourages the other person to open up more.
Reflective questions are powerful in building rapport and trust. They make the other person feel heard and understood, which is crucial in any conversation. Now, let's discuss probing questions. These are used to dig deeper into a topic and uncover more information. For example, if you're discussing a book, instead of asking, "Did you like the book?" a probing question could be, "What did you think about the main character's development throughout the story?" This type of question invites a more detailed and thoughtful response.
Probing questions are fantastic for getting to the heart of a matter. They help you explore different aspects of a topic and can lead to a richer, more engaging conversation. For learners, practicing probing questions can be a great way to develop critical thinking skills and deepen your understanding of various subjects.
Absolutely. Another important type is the open-ended question, which we touched on in part 1. These questions encourage expansive answers and are great for sparking discussions. For example, instead of asking, "Do you enjoy learning English?" you could ask, "What do you find most rewarding about learning English?" This not only encourages a more detailed response, but also helps the speaker explore their feelings and thoughts on the topic.
Open-ended questions are particularly useful in language learning because they give the speaker more opportunity to use language creatively and expressively. They can also reveal interesting insights and opinions that might not surface with closed-ended questions.
On the flip side, we have closed-ended questions, which usually elicit a brief response like yes or no. These are useful for confirming information or getting straightforward answers. For example, "Are you coming to the meeting?" is a straightforward question that requires a simple response. While they might not be as expansive as open-ended questions, they are useful for clarity and efficiency.
Exactly. Close-ended questions are particularly handy when you need to gather specific information quickly. However, it's important to balance them with more open questions to keep the conversation engaging and flowing.
Let's talk about leading questions now. These are questions that subtly guide the respondent toward a particular answer. For example, "Don't you think the meeting was a bit long?" This type of question can influence the answer and is often used in persuasive contexts. However, it's essential to use them carefully, as they can sometimes lead to biased responses.
Yes, leading questions can be tricky. They can sometimes come across as manipulative if not used appropriately. It's better to keep questions neutral, especially when you want an honest and unbiased opinion. For instance, instead of leading with "Wasn't the movie great?" you could ask, "What did you think of the movie?"
Now, let's not forget about rhetorical questions. These are questions asked for effect rather than to get an answer. For example, "Isn't it wonderful how language can connect people?" Rhetorical questions can be used to emphasize a point or to engage the listener in thinking about a topic more deeply.
Rhetorical questions are great for making statements more impactful. They encourage listeners to reflect and can be a powerful tool in persuasive speaking or writing. For learners, understanding how to use and respond to rhetorical questions can add depth to their language skills.
As we delve into these different questioning techniques, it's important to remember that the tone and body language accompanying the question are just as important as the words themselves. For example, a question like, "Are you sure about that?" can sound supportive and encouraging or skeptical, depending on the tone of voice and facial expressions used.
That's a great point, Mason. Nonverbal cues such as eye contact, nodding, and a warm tone can make a question feel more supportive and engaging. For example, if you're asking, "How are you feeling today?" with a genuine, warm tone and an open posture, it shows you care about the person's well-being.
Exactly. This is especially important in a language learning context, where learners might be more sensitive to perceived judgments. Using positive body language and a friendly tone can help create a safe and encouraging environment for learners to express themselves.
Another aspect to consider is the timing of the questions. Giving someone time to think before they respond can lead to more thoughtful and considered answers. Sometimes silence can be a powerful tool, allowing the other person space to gather their thoughts.
Yes, silence is often underrated in conversations. It can signal that you are listening and processing what the other person is saying. It also gives the speaker a moment to think more deeply about their response, which can lead to more meaningful exchanges.
And don't forget, asking questions is not just about getting information, it's about connecting with others. Questions can show that you're interested in someone's thoughts, experiences, and feelings, which can strengthen relationships.
Absolutely. Questions are a way of showing respect and interest in another person's perspective. They can open up new avenues of conversation and understanding, making interactions more enriching for both parties.
So, for our listeners, remember that asking questions is an art. It involves not just choosing the right words, but also considering your tone, body language, and the context in which you're asking. Practicing different types of questions can help you become a more effective communicator and deepen your interactions with others. Now, we're going to dive into some advanced questioning techniques and discuss their practical applications. We'll also review some of the key phrases and concepts we've covered, so stay tuned.
That's right, Sophia. We've explored various types of questions and their impacts on conversations. Now, we'll focus on how to apply these techniques in real-life scenarios. Let's start with hypothetical questions. These questions ask the respondent to imagine a situation and consider how they might respond. For example, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? Hypothetical questions can stimulate creative thinking and open up interesting discussions.
Hypothetical questions are great for exploring possibilities and personal preferences. They can also reveal a lot about someone's values and interests. For example, if someone answers, "I'd go to Japan to experience the culture and food," you can follow up with, "What specifically about Japanese culture interests you the most?" This helps to delve deeper into their answer and keeps the conversation engaging.
Another useful technique is comparison questions. These involve asking someone to compare two or more things to highlight similarities or differences. For example, how does learning English online compare to attending classes in person? This type of question can help clarify preferences and experiences, making it easier to understand someone's perspective.
Comparison questions are effective for drawing contrasts and similarities, which can be particularly helpful in discussions where you want to understand the pros and cons of different options. They also encourage the speaker to articulate their opinions more clearly.
Moving on, let's talk about sequential questions. These are questions that build on previous answers and guide the conversation in a logical flow. For instance, if someone shares their experience about a recent project, you might ask, "What was the most challenging part of the project?" Followed by, "How did you overcome that challenge?" Sequential questions help maintain a structured conversation and ensure that all relevant aspects of a topic are covered.
Sequential questions are fantastic for keeping the conversation organized and thorough. They help you dive deeper into a topic step by step, which can be very useful in both interviews and casual conversations. For instance, if you're discussing a new hobby, you might start with, "What inspired you to start this hobby?" and then ask, "How has your experience evolved since you began?"
Let's not forget about clarifying follow-up questions. These are used when you need more information or want to ensure that you've understood something correctly. For example, you mentioned you've been working on a big project. Can you explain what the main goals of the project were? These questions help clarify any uncertainties and provide a clearer picture of the subject being discussed.
Clarifying follow-up questions are crucial for effective communication, as they help prevent misunderstandings and ensure that both parties are on the same page. They also show that you're actively listening and interested in the details of what the other person is saying.
Another advanced technique is summarizing questions. These involve restating or summarizing what the other person has said, and then asking for confirmation or further elaboration. For example, "So, if I understand correctly, you're saying that the project was successful, but had some initial difficulties. Is that right?" This technique helps confirm understanding and can also encourage the speaker to provide more details.
Summarizing questions are great for reinforcing what's been discussed and ensuring that you've captured the main points accurately. They can also prompt the speaker to elaborate further or clarify any ambiguities, leading to a more comprehensive discussion.
Emphatic questions are another useful technique. These questions express empathy and understanding, often reflecting the speaker's feelings or experiences. For instance, if someone is talking about a difficult situation, you might ask, "It sounds like you've been through a lot. How has that experience affected you personally?" Emphatic questions show that you care about the person's emotions and experiences.
Emphatic questions can help build rapport and make the conversation more personal and supportive. They allow the speaker to share their feelings and experiences more openly, creating a deeper connection between the participants in the conversation.
As we wrap up, let's review some key phrases and concepts. Remember to use open-ended questions to encourage detailed responses, reflective questions to show empathy, and probing questions to explore topics more deeply. Balancing different types of questions will help you maintain engaging and meaningful conversations.
Absolutely. Also, keep in mind the importance of tone and body language. Your tone of voice, facial expressions, and posture can greatly influence how your questions are received and how comfortable the other person feels. Always aim for a positive and supportive approach to make your conversations as effective and enjoyable as possible.
We hope this deep dive into advanced questioning techniques has been valuable. Remember, the key to great conversations is not just asking the right questions, but also listening actively and responding thoughtfully.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the art of asking questions. We've enjoyed exploring these techniques with you and hope you find them useful in your own conversations. Keep practicing, and you'll continue to improve your English skills and conversational abilities.
That's right. Keep asking those great questions and engaging deeply with others. We look forward to seeing you in our next podcast. Until then, take care and happy conversing.